Alrighty guys, so we are seeing a really good bounce in the memory stocks and chip stocks, semiconductors, all of them. Let's take a look at in this video. Are the bulls finally in control? Micron almost approaching its zone of overall structure change back to the upside. Let's see what we are seeing in the price action. Can it do it? So is Sandisk approaching very close to a critical zone and all that good stuff. SK Hynix is also, we'll take a look at Nvidia, AMD really getting strong again at that pivotal point. So before going further, as always, none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. So let's start off with Micron here. So Micron, so what we were watching, well, first of all, let's talk about yesterday, where we did have a bounce sell-off at the zone of 891, that significant level. Now, I mentioned that until 950, if we make a move higher, that will be a multi-day strength for now. We still have to get above 950, which it hasn't done yet. But as I said that it hasn't done yet, however, 891 above is where we would have opened doors to 950, which we have tested very close there already. And thus we are though in the multi-day strength here. It's not overall bullish yet, but it is in the transition phase on the bull side. Above 891 and below 950, it's more of a transition phase, but on the bullish side. Bulls, as they can continue to hold 891, continue to stabilize here, it's in the bulls favor. It's a good turnaround possibility. Okay, and then as we break out above that 950, that pushes up level by level. We have 1036 as well along the ways, but that will open up Micron for the next leg higher. It hasn't closed the day. All right, and we are not overall bullish, but we are in the multi-day strength. Now it's all about can it close closer to the higher end of 950, or if it's going to close closer to 890. The problem only would be if we come down, gap fill, and close closer to 890. That would still keep the overall direction still negative, which is still negative until 950. But what that would do if we close closer to 890 is take away the strength from the bull's transition phase. Okay, that will put a little bit more, possibly again bears taking over the charge if we close closer to 890. How are things looking like for that? Like, there's still a lot of strength. Let's take a look at the 5 minutes interval. We did gap quite high. We did gap quite high today, right up over here, but it is holding. Okay, so right now price action is looking strong for the day also on the bull's side. Okay, so this is the moment, as if it can do it. It has to be done right over here at 950 if it can push through, and then it can go for the levels up here, test like 1100. I cannot say if we're going to test the highs, because we are not like it. Usually these things can also a little bit go sideways for a moment after breaking out, but if anything, this would be the start above 950 if it can do it. Okay, if it doesn't, unfortunately we're gonna come down again. So that's your Micron. Sandisk is also getting right at that zone of $1,600, above which we will start to take overall strength on this thing. It's not there yet. It's technically about part of a bounce and a rebound like Micron, but on the bullish transition possibility side, because we are gaining a little bit on the multi-day strength up here above this significant level, especially 1513. 1513 to 1600 is like a transition phase, right? As if we can close stronger and stronger up here. It is still on the bearish side though, guys. Okay, it is overall, it is still part of a rebound, but the higher we push in this rebound, the more bulls will start taking control. But I just want to point out, we were also on the possible transition phase and a rebound multi-day strength in this zone, which we then eventually gave up. So the point being, you don't place big bets until overall structure confirmation happens. You can place small bets if you want to play the rebound, right? And if you were taking a short, these are the days you will be covering your short position and getting out, okay? But the point is that we are a little bit gaining some multi-day strength here on Sandisk as well. So it's getting closer to a potential structural change around, but it hasn't done yet. If you look at it, it is still part of a rebound and can still continue lower if it doesn't regain 1600. If you like trend lines, you can also use sort at this reference line on Sandisk here. So we are still weak though, okay? SK Hynix. Now for SK Hynix, let's use the, I'm just gonna quickly go to Kospi here. Let's use SK Hynix from the Korean market. Yesterday we had a bounce, but it just remained a bounce, okay, on Korean SK Hynix. Nowhere closer to 2,048,000. That's the zone I have been telling you. But today's SK Hynix on the Nasdaq, technically it's a part of a bounce only still, okay? Let's get to the hourly interval. We are still slowing down at 166, but it is trying to turn around. Now what it comes down to is, can it break out above 166? If it can do it, you can expect at least near-term upside to happen on this as well. So it's getting close, not fully there yet, but it's getting close. Seagate. So Seagate is the one that has pushed through that $800 as it has continued to hold, okay? And so it didn't break to the downside. It held above 800 and thus pushing the level above at 840 and then finally breaking out that significant level as well. And it is testing right now the next significant level, 880, okay? Technically, it has turned itself around. Seagate has turned itself around. May not be, like, it can still do pullbacks along the ways, but I do foresee $800 Seagate is already turning bullish. Even if pullback happens at this point, most likely they will be bought up. Point is that this rebound that built up 800 above was the direction change happening already. That's why I gave you this zone. And as we already are above it, you can see we are capturing the next significant level and testing the next one already, which is your continuation of the strength at this point above $800. This was the change in the direction. Now, I don't make decisions based off 20 or 50 days moving average, those yellow and purple lines, they are more for the reference. Now, as you can see, it is rejecting there, okay? It is rejecting there. And that's where the point is that that can give it some pullback, but as long as we can still hold that pullback above 800, technically our price action is bullish on Seagate here, okay? So that's something to watch. This can slow it down though for the day. 20 and 50, it's sitting right there, okay? It's rejecting with that significant level right there, so it can give it some pullbacks, but as long as it can continue to hold 800, eventually it will break through 20 and 50 days moving average. May not happen in a day. It may still do pullback tomorrow, come up, but the point is that you are preparing now in the direction of bullishness with the pullbacks as long as it holds above 800, which has been the zone. So stop loss is below that, which is not new. This is something we were already regaining yesterday, as I mentioned. Marvel is technically still just part of a rebound. This is not really that strong. You know, first, like, there is another significant level zone here, so not really. It is still in the downtrend. Nvidia opened higher, but giving up gains again, unfortunately. And I'm still not in any position anymore. I gave you an update what I did with my positions a couple of days ago. You can check those videos out of mine if you haven't done so. The point is that Nvidia is still not giving you the momentum here. Yes, it is above 204. Okay, so it's not like it's really breaking bearish below, but it is also failing to give you a momentum. Okay, so this is just like now sideways choppy, and which Nvidia has been doing for more than a year. Quite a lot choppy. Okay, so it's just, that's what it is. Okay, if we unfortunately don't even hold 204, you can expect more weakness. It's above that, it is technically holding but failing to push through in the momentum. All right, let's take a look at AMD. So AMD, yesterday rejection worked at 528 as I talked about it. Let me show you that on the 4 hours interval. And with the today's gap up, this thing is again testing 528. Now it has toyed around with that zone. Okay, there will be a little bit of breaches, guys. Okay, there will be, but there is, you can see the supply zone is still holding at 528 and area above. And at the time I'm doing this video, while the market is open, you can see that supply zone liquidity grab above 528, right? Because that's where the stop losses are. Because it's always around the zone that I gave you, right? So, and it's just not I'm pulling out these zones out of thin air, guys. Like the zones that I give you to focus on, they work as they are supposed to. And you should know this by now if you have been seeing my videos. Now the point is that because my tools tells me all these levels, guys. If you need access to my tools, you will find the details in the description of this video. Now the point is that yes, even though it is still selling off in that region closer to 528, 530, it is still technically, it is though right now in the multi-day strength here. Okay, as I said yesterday, technically between 500 and 530, AMD is in the rebound transition phase. If we get to the higher end, it's always transition to the bullish side. If we stay on the lower end of the transition phase, we are on the bearish transition side. And alongside, as we break and close, that picks the direction. That's for the bulls. And this is for the shorts or, you know, bears, however you want to say it, right? So anyhow, it all still comes, it's still technically in the transition phase. It all comes down to which direction AMD will today pick up. This is technically for me still a multi-day rebound. Okay, and so, but as if it can hold it, good. If it doesn't, you are in the trouble. Again, I'll give you a reference line here. That is a, you know, reference trend line. You can also use this one. So even if it can hold through it on the hourly interval, technically it's a multi-day strength. But tomorrow and even today, if we start to close some hourly candles or 5 minutes candle closer above 530 and stay up there, it has a room to then start to push up. Okay, and that will, yeah, put it back in the strength technically. So it's right there. Okay, it's right there. ARM is also bouncing. This thing I already mentioned, it can bounce even until 300. Technically it's just a bounce on this thing, which it's doing as per expectations. We were supposed to test this level. We did that very close to that after breaking 304, and since then I have been saying it can even rebound back up here, which is doing, but overall structure on this thing is still to the downside, guys, still to the downside. Okay, only about 300 area, 305 area where things will start to potentially turn around. I'm going to get rid of this zone. We don't need that anymore. It has served our purpose. This is the only zone we need to focus on. Broadcom, yeah, this thing, guys, just like Nvidia, it's my expectations are it's just going to stay mostly choppy and sideways. I may not want to talk about this every day because it's just mostly going to do choppy sideways. If you are bullish on Broadcom, you can keep playing this thing to the upside with the stop loss below 356. Short, no, I would not suggest shorting this thing. TSM testing also the upper end of its structural area, that is 420, which is technically a part of a rebound there, though, which it does put it in the multi-day strength. But it's just a multi-day strength, which is part of an overall structural rebound. Now it's at a critical zone as well. If this multi-day strength has to start turning on around overall structural strength, then we have to gain above this, pretty much the red zone, and that will begin a little bit of its upside more for the longevity. But I mean, that's where the structural changes, that red zone. Everything is working out as expected though. We broke the red zone, we got the yellow zone tested below, part of a overall rebound. Now it's all about, is it going to break out from there as well, thus gaining overall strength again, or eventually it's gonna come down. But this is where the transition upper end is. Okay, all right, let's take a look at Intel. Intel also regaining above $100. Technically, yes, $100 above. We have strength on Intel. Its earnings are Thursday, so that will define quite a lot. But it is regaining some strength area. I would still be a little bit cautious on Intel, but it is above yellow zone in the strength area. It's a bit of a bounce. Give it a bounce like until 109 possibility, but I'm not too excited on this thing right now. This is still in the, it is technical. This is where if you were in any short prior to that from 127 or something, this is where you will get out as we are gaining above yellow zone. If you are now from here becoming a bull, technically it's in the upside direction in the strength, but just so you know, because it's still just a part of a nearby strength, you still have to have your stop loss around below 99 area. Okay, because it is not super strong, but it is gaining some near-term strength here. Okay, so that's your Intel. So it still needs to, you know, it's getting some multi-day strength above yellow zone, but not fully bullish, but it's a part of a strength. All right, guys, well, that's pretty much what I had for you. Let's take a look at NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500 before we wrap up. Now, NASDAQ 100 is regaining that upper end of the green zone as well, 703. That's where the multi-day weakness, at least, or well, this weakness that we were in would complete itself. And pretty much with the semiconductors, as you can see, that is playing out. That was the thing. Okay, this is where weakness will complete above 703, and it is near-term gaining in the strength as well there. S&P 500 bouncing today, didn't really regain that 749 area yet, so it's technically a part of just a bounce for the day. But having said that, it is not weaker than NASDAQ 100. It has still held strong overall. This was its overall structural support. Technically, that is just a multi-day weakness on this below 750, which is already a little bit doing a part of a multi-day rebound part there. But it is not like, oh, it was never like weaker like QQQ. So it, even if it doesn't do same at par like how QQQ is doing today, very strong, even if it doesn't do that like that today, we still have a gap up on S&P 500, and it is still at par with NASDAQ 100 as well, because it is also going up. It never went that down as how NASDAQ 100 went. All right, guys, well, that's all I had for you in this video. And with that, I'll see you in my next videos. Take care. Bye.